The Royal Mile is of course home to the new Scottish Parliament, opened in 2004, 3 years late and 10 times over budget. It took 6 years to build, saw the death of its creators, and has suffered under a blizzard of bad publicity. It consists of 1,200 tonnes of structural steel, utilising the same number of construction workers, some 25,000 cubic metres of concrete, 1,000 kilometres of electric cable, and cost over £400 million, and is in fact 11 buildings in total linked by corridors. One is Queensberry House, built in 1650 for the Duke of Queensberry, who was, perhaps a little ironically, one of the main signatories on the Act of Union in 1707. The Act saw the disbandment of the Scottish Parliament and the transfer of power to Westminster. On the night of the signing, the Duke's son, who was mentally ill and usually locked in the attic, escaped, and was found to have roasted a young servant on the open fire. The fireplace is still a feature of the refurbished building. The site was historically known as Watergate, one political satire that perhaps luckily seems to have eluded the press to date. It was also an inn sanctuary until about 1880 and acted as a refuge for debtors who could not be arrested there. Holyrood Palace sits next to the Parliament and lends its name to the building. At one stage a much neglected royal palace, it has been restored over recent years. The name may come from the relic of the True Cross brought here by Queen Margaret, later removed by Edward. Or some say, as the result of a vision had here by David I whilst chasing a white stag, which turned and faced up to the monarch. The palace has been twice destroyed by the English. What we see today was rebuilt by Sir William Bruce, whose own house we also visit in Kinross on the Perth and Kinross title. The palace was favoured by the Stuarts, and Bonnie Prince Charlie was the last one to stay there. It's perhaps best known for its link to Mary Stuart, who lived at the palace for 6 years, and this was the scene of the murder of her secretary, David Rizzio. To the rear of the palace rises Holyrood Park, consisting of 648 acres of open hill, with roads and lochs laid out in 1856 by Prince Albert. There are 4 ancient hill forts in the park, and in 1836, in a cave below Arthur's Seat, 17 small coffins containing carved figures were discovered, perhaps a memorial to the victims of Burke and Hare. Although known as body snatchers, which they were, what set these two apart is that rather than waiting for a fresh corpse to be buried and then digging it up, they cut out the middlemen and created their own supply of fresh bodies for Dr. Knox and the medical school by killing innocent victims.